Today we're flying on a world-first flight from the US to the Faroe Islands. Faroese national carrier Atlantic Airways has officially launched A320neo service from Stewart Airport, about 90 minutes north of New York City, to Vágar in the Faroe Islands. And we're there to ride along on the first ever service. An historic day for Atlantic Airways. Plus, we've got the jump seat for landing into some very gnarly Faroese weather today.
Minimum content.
This came towards the end of my recent Atlantic island hopping adventure, which took me across the Atlantic solely on single-aisle planes, routing via the Azores on the way over to New York. I'm bringing you this one first because it's the most newsworthy, but I'll be publishing the rest in the coming weeks, so make sure you're subscribed. Anyway, for now, please join me on this very special flight to the Faroe Islands. I'm starting the day in Manhattan and headed to a fairly random corner next to the Port Authority bus terminal where there's apparently a bus leaving for Stewart Airport upstate. This bus is timed for the flight, and there's one that leaves in time for the other international flight Stewart gets, a play flight to Reykjavik. It's a pretty convenient way to get up there, though neither the bus nor its stop are marked, so they should probably work on that a bit. Oh, and judging by the comments on Instagram, some of you are going to say Stewart Airport is not upstate. Well, for most people, anything north of Westchester is upstate, so that's that. Welcome to Stewart Airport. I've just come on an hour-and-a-half long bus ride up from Port Authority, New York City. How strange to catch a flight to the Faroe Islands from up here in the Catskills, upstate New York. I've been up this way, but many years ago, the last time I was here, in this tiny little airport, there were only 6 people on that bus. I hope there are more who are coming from other places or driving themselves from the city for the flight. For the sake of Atlantic Airways, it would be nice to see them succeed with this service. Let's see, I'm so curious to know how many people are actually on board, what the service is going to be like, everything about it. I don't think there are any other flights here. Most airlines that did fly here domestically have left. JetBlue, Frontier, I think it's just Allegiant these days. So, not a busy place. And it's true, there's only one other flight departing from here today, the aforementioned one to Reykjavik. On some days you do get a handful of Allegiant flights, so it's no surprise the airport management are excited about this new flight and want it to succeed. I also hope it will. This airport may be obscure and it feels a bit far from New York, but it's a breeze to get through here. Compare this to a typical scene at JFK Terminal 1. Well, getting closer to boarding time here for the flight to the Faroe Islands on the Atlantic Airways A320neo. It's looking beautiful sitting out here at the gate. Kind of a lonely feeling at the airport with no other flights departing, but it makes for a very pleasant experience getting through security, checking in, finding a seat. I mean, it's ideal if you compare it to something like JFK and the chaos there. But I do hope that this airport can sustain more flights because you don't want to see 8 gates sitting empty except for 1 or 2 flights a day. And I hope that Atlantic Airways will find that this is worthwhile. I was just chatting with someone who works at the airport and they mentioned that load factors are going up. Already they're seeing improvements and September flights are booked up even better than they are now. Got myself the bulkhead, my favorite, 1F. Ideal both for ability to get out into the aisle without too much trouble and of course engine views. So let's see how it is. It turns out to be 45 passengers on board today. Capacity is 174 passengers on this plane, but the short runway at Vágar combined with the long sector means they can't actually fill all the seats, particularly westbound. Good news for those hoping for a free middle seat on this service. This is a morning departure arriving around 10:30 p.m., which is nice, as I wouldn't love to do an overnight in this all-economy class aircraft. The bulkhead is definitely the place to be in any case. For now, it's just a once-a-week service, and it's only operating for a couple of months. It seems like Atlantic Airways is just testing the waters, but the airline says it will be back for the full summer season next year.
The first flight for Atlantic Airways out of the US to the Faroe Islands. Flight time is much applause. And the flight time is not so long if we think about how far it is. So we're going to fly around 6 hours and 25 minutes. The weather routes, we are promising good weather, but we can expect some light turbulence now and then. Otherwise, the weather in the Faroes at the moment is very Faroese. It's low clouds and almost calm wind and temperature around 12 degrees.
Drinks are free today because of the special occasion. I also got this sandwich for free. It was just okay. Normally it's buy on board for everything with prices typical of what you'd expect on a low-cost airline.
Canada. We estimate to land in the Faroes in 4 hours now. As I mentioned before, we are all of us making history today because we are for the first time ever flying directly from New York to Vágar Airport in the Faroes. And because of this, we also like to celebrate with you. And we're going to offer you now Faroese chocolate with sparkling wine. Well, we're in the cockpit, of course, only drink coffee and water, so be our guests, and I hope you will enjoy. Thank you.
Interesting fact, the airline has not sought out ETOPS certification for this one, presumably because the route never takes the plane overly far from an alternate, with eastern Canada, Greenland, and Iceland all along the path. The seats are reasonably comfortable. They have adjustable headrests, which I haven't seen too much of on the A320 family. I noticed Faroese has some words that are pretty easy to figure out coming from English, and some that really are not. What an intriguing and mysterious place for most of us. And as the sun starts to set behind us, I try to get a little rest before heading into the cockpit for the landing. This should be very cool to see. Although I've been warned there are low clouds and it'll be dark, so I shouldn't expect to see much of the islands themselves. Boy, were they not kidding about that.
All the nav tracks extend down the westbound flights were going here. So we had to go north of them to get east.
Oh, wow, okay. Huh.
So we went up here and then 120 miles north in this part, north of our planned track.
Wow.
Probably to this approach tonight. Yeah.
Airline 401-08, go ahead.
Yeah, magnitude 1,
Magnitude 1. Wind, crosswind, 210 degrees, 7 knots, official 12, and 220 degrees, 10 knots, from official 37.
So we put in flight number and from Stewart to Vágar. And it gives us maximum landing weight, speed, and I added 2 knots. So the approach speed will be 127.
3-sir Yankee. Minimum is Vágar 455. We're well below landing weight. More than 400 meters running distance. Well, yeah, go around to RP, my Yankee, La Magna. So we're on fuel, so more than an hour. Very hold it. So no worries.
Straight, 81, 82, approach, auto brake. It's medium. Landing weight, auto, it's going to be full reverse, full flaps. Okay, so go around, nice and easy, just go around, flaps, front of me, post the climb, gear up. And we'll switch back to soft go around. We have a plan.
Is it often quite reduced visibility landing at Vágar?
Yeah, it's going to be, yeah. Well, since we got the RMP, we have a lower minimum compared to the old days. But still, we are more than standard ILS. Slightly more visibility, slightly higher, just you don't have 200 feet, you just got slightly above 200 feet as minimum AGL.
Okay.
For one approach. The other end we are 14 degrees offset RMP/low velocity. We have a higher minimum, 300 something AGL.
Was it your first time flying to Stewart Airport, I guess?
Yes.
First time East Coast US.
Right. How was that as a different experience?
It's different because we've been flying to Europe mostly. Up to Greenland we've done it several times, but it's a route up Faroe Islands, Iceland, Greenland. You are in normal VHF radar coverage and not the normal oceanic. So start to get used to the transatlantic operation. So, but it was nice. The weather was good yesterday.
Yep.
So beautiful weather going into Stewart last night. Wind more or less calm, sky clear. So it was beautiful. When ready, clear the center, low control airspace. Airline.
So we're ready to go.
Yes, it's quite located in the middle of nowhere in North Atlantic. So of course the closest is the Shetland Island, on the south there in the Iceland, and then Norway in distance.
And if weather gets bad enough in Vágar, is the usual diversion point Reykjavik or something else?
Bergen.
Bergen, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
normally you have tailwind over Bergen. It's shorter than going Keflavik. So both the distance and the tailwind, enjoy it to the Bergen.
Approach list. They are ref QNH 1010, QNH 1010,
Seatbelts on. Minimum. Narrow 455. Outer brake. Medium. Engine oscillator. Normal. Project is completed.
Can I do 1010 and report VIP?
1010, report VIP. Caroline 40. Yankee, so the final project.
Ja, fenastra.
Captain. Mike Fox 10.3. Flaps 2, speed check. Speed setting, flaps 2, 60. Glide stops, start. Photo set, check.
One Caroline, 408, 10 miles.
408, that is copied. No reported traffic. Runway 30, runway is reported wet. Wind 210 degrees, 8 knots. Kilometers indicating 180 feet. Visibility around 3 kilometers.
No terminal runway, Caroline 408.
Speed manage 210.8, yes. Gear down, speed checked. Gear down. Going down. Subject to body. Watch speed checked. Stream. Flaps full.
2,500.
Flaps full. 2,000 checked. Check. Flaps checks. Check. Listen. Skip that breathe. Listen to this. Cabin ready. Check is completed.
1,000.
Check. Yes, it's in here. There you go. No worries. Oh, this is kind of fun. Oh, I better slow. Let's get that on table you'll see.
500. Hundred above. Minimum.
Continue. Checked. Autopilot off. Check. Land. Check. See, control shift. Takeoff tape.
50, 40, 30, 20. Retard. Retard.
Spoilers. Reverse. Wall. Decent. Just Send off sorting. Start time.
Auto brake off.
Yeah, after landing actions.
408 on ground 35. Any turbulence?
35 or negativity radio. Let's see, faktiskt lite vinter. Högt upp på max 4000, så det har lite vinter.
Innanför slant, annat.
Går han lågt?
Åh, vad snyggt kom ni. Slow it down after landing. After landing. Red signature. Off. Alla checkers completed. Tre är ungefär den kommande hemåt här.
What a cool experience this was, being on this historic first flight for a little-known, small airline, heading to a very special place I've never been before. I hope you enjoyed the trip, and stay tuned for the rest of this island-hopping transatlantic adventure, because I'll be taking you sequentially through the rest, from the Azores to New York, and then over to Copenhagen after leaving the Faroe Islands in the coming weeks. Alright, well what a nice flight that was, and into some very Faroese weather. Landing in Vágar, I think is the right way to pronounce it. These Atlantic Airways A320s around looking quite beautiful in this misty, chilly weather, a long way from the Azores and even the New York summer heat, but excited to be in the Faroe Islands. In the Faroe Islands, for Flight Radar 24, I'm Gabriel Lee.